Welcome to our socially distant reading of Inviting Marie by Melanie Payne. My name's Annette Trosbach. I'm the Artistic Director at the Laboratory Theater of Florida in Fort Myers. Thanks to all of you for joining us for this delightful play. We are joined by a talented team of actors from Southwest Florida, as well as our playwright, Melanie Payne. There's no charge for this performance, but if you enjoy our show and you have the means, I ask that you consider donating to the Laboratory Theater of Florida during this challenging time. Thank you for watching and for sharing the play and story, and I hope to see you at the theater on the other side of this thing. Inviting Marie, Act 1, Scene 1. At opening, the stage is set with a small kitchen, a table and 2 chairs. A door stage right leads to outdoors. A door stage left leads to the other rooms in the house. A pair of French doors to the left of the kitchen counter leads to the garden and patio. A coffee pot is on the counter. There are various kitchen items, including a small canister with pens and pencils. Charlotte is on the telephone, standing at the sink. Her coffee mug is in her hand. A stack of cards and envelopes are on the table and piled on top of a newspaper.
You know he is. He's acting as if he doesn't want it, but he does. I don't know. You don't want to, do you? It'll be a lot of folks you don't know. No, it's not that I don't want you there. I just think... Oh, hey, I hear him. I gotta go. Yeah, let's talk about it tonight. We'll watch Netflix and chill. All right.
Who was that?
Robin.
You didn't have to hang up on my account.
I didn't. I'm going over there tonight.
I heard, watching Netflix.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Sending out invitations.
To what?
I told you, Dad, we're throwing you a birthday party.
I told you I didn't want a party. I want a funeral.
That can be arranged.
What did you say?
Nothing.
I heard you.
Then what did I say?
Something smart-mouthed.
I said that can be arranged.
Nice thing to say to your father.
I'm trying to be nice, but you won't let me. All this talk about death and dying. I want you to have a party. See your friends. It's something to celebrate you turning 80.
Don't remind me.
I'm reminding you because you seem to want to forget it.
I forget all sorts of things lately.
I told you, normal aging.
I can't remember names for anything. Do you think I have Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's.
Really? I thought it was Alzheimer's. First, you get sometimers, and then when your memory completely goes, you get Alzheimer's.
That's not funny.
Sure it is. Couldn't remember Chris's daughter's name the other day.
Not being able to immediately recall your granddaughter's name is normal. When you forget that you've got a granddaughter, then we have a problem.
But if I can't remember her, then why would it matter if I didn't remember her name? It only bothers me because I do remember her. And who made you the Alzheimer's expert?
Medical school.
You went to medical school? When? I don't remember that.
I gotcha. See, your memory's not that bad.
Damn it, that's not funny.
I thought it was.
Because you think tormenting me is funny. Like you're going to torment me with this birthday party. All these people, I won't remember their names.
They'll have name tags.
Name tags? At a birthday party?
I'll tell them it's so they can get to know each other.
The women will think I'm looking at their breasts.
That's the first thing you look at anyway.
Yeah, always been a breast man. A breast, a nice set of gams, and a shapely butt. You know, not too round or too wide. Like Doris Day. That was a good butt Doris had.
Maybe they were implants.
Not Doris.
You didn't know Doris.
I know people. I've made a career studying people. I know the types. I'm almost 80.
My point exactly. That's why we're having this party.
Who are you inviting?
The usual suspects, Kit and Ken.
Anyone from the golf course?
Sure, if you want me to. Who'd you have in mind?
I don't know. Maybe that guy. The ranger. The one from Minnesota. What's his name?
Carlton?
Yeah. Is he still working there?
Dad, he died last summer.
Damn. I forgot that. See what I mean? All my friends are dead and I have Alzheimer's.
I am sure all of your friends aren't dead.
No, I still have some, I guess. You could invite Marie.
Marie who?
Marie Parr.
Mrs. Parr? From when we lived on McLaren Street? Goodness, I didn't even know she was still alive. Are you sure she's still alive?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I talked to her not long ago.
No kidding. Did you run into her somewhere?
No, I meet her for lunch sometimes, or we catch an early bird special.
I'm shocked. I had no idea you were dating Mrs. Parr.
We're not dating. We're friends, that's all. We talk about the kids. We talk about the old neighborhood.
Is she still okay? How old is she?
She had a little stroke a while back. Uses a walker. But her brain's still working, if that's what you mean. She's a year and 6 months younger than me. To the day.
You know her birthday?
Yeah, she's a Scorpio. That's why I know. We talk horoscopes. Did you read yours today?
No.
Oh, here it is. Work with other people today. Partnering can help you get ahead.
Often nonsense. The only partnering going on around here is you and Mrs. Parr. How long has this been going on?
Nothing's going on. You asked me who to invite, and I said Marie. And she's got a daughter. You remember her, right? She's a little younger than you, Vivian. You can invite them both. I gotta run. Got a doctor's appointment.
Brady grabs his hat from the hook near the door, stage right, pats his back pocket, opens the door.
Oh, and don't forget about inviting Marie.
Well, you don't seem to have Alzheimer's about that, do you?
Lights down. Act 1, Scene 2. Charlotte and her brother Chris are at the kitchen table. Chris is dressed in a policeman's uniform. His hat is lying on the table, a place setting in front of him. Charlotte has switched to tea. She obsessively moves the tea bag up and down as she talks to Chris, occasionally wrapping her arms around the mug, but not drinking.
I'm going to miss you dropping by when you retire.
3 more years on all desk duty. I'm coasting out. I can hardly wait. I'll be working on this. Finally go up to my place on the lake. I'll fish. I'll hunt. Eat what I kill. Seconds?
Charlotte gets up and takes the plate from in front of Chris, walks to the stove and puts food on the plate. She sets it down in front of Chris, who begins eating ravenously.
Save some room for the key lime pie.
Damn, sis, I told you I need to work on this.
You better get it while you can. You won't be killing any key limes up at the lake.
You got a point. So how's the party planning coming?
I'm glad you asked. Why does Dad want to invite Mrs. Parr?
Don't know. Can't be banging her anymore, that's for sure.
What banging? When did they start dating?
Better question is, when did they stop? I'm thinking the last 5 years or so, when they got that prostrate thing.
It's prostate.
Are you sure? Doesn't it have something to do with prostrate with grief? Like your dick doesn't work and then you're really sad?
Jesus Christ, Chris. That is not the origin. And don't change the subject. Let's get back to Dad and Mrs. Parr.
Mrs. Parr's dad's side piece.
Side piece?
You didn't know that?
Obviously not. And what do you mean? When did it stop? How How long has this been going on?
Since we lived on Meadow.
You weren't even born when we lived on Meadow.
Well, that's how long it's been going on.
Chris, that means he was getting it on with Mrs. Parr when he was still married to Mom. And when did Mr. Parr die?
Just before Mom.
Well, Mom's been dead for 10 years.
Uh-huh. Any point?
No point. I guess I just can't believe it. Do you think Mom knew?
I know Mom knew.
How do you know Mom knew?
Because she told me.
Told you?
Yeah. You've always been close to Dad, and I think she didn't want you to know. He always liked you best anyway.
This is heartbreaking, Chris. Poor Mr. Parr. Poor Mom.
Poor Dad, you mean? Can you imagine the love of your life and you can't ever be with her? And by the time you can, you're both too old to make a go of it.
Mom was the love of his life.
You can't be serious.
Charlotte sets some pie in front of Chris.
I certainly am serious. They were married for 50 years.
50 miserable years.
How can you say that?
What home did you grow up in?
Sure, there were fights, but most couples have disagreements.
Remember the canister battle? Bam! There goes the tea hitting up against the wall, barely missing him as he walked out the door. And then the coffee? Grounds everywhere. And then we were like, Mom, please, not the sugar. Please, Mom, we need it for the cereal.
Yeah.
So she comes to her senses for a second and sends a flour canister hurtling across the room.
I think she might have winged him with the flour. And we never did get another canister set after that. And from then on, we pulled bags from the Lipton box, coffee from the Maxwell House can, and flour from the gold medal bag.
But we saved the sugar jar. Hey, you remember how Dad used to switch plates with us at the dinner table?
It was a game he liked to play.
Bullshit. That was so she wouldn't poison him.
You're freaking kidding me, right?
I wish. It was a goddamn war zone around that house. I couldn't wait to get out.
More pie?
I really shouldn't. I'll take another cup of coffee, though. Hey, you ever see Vivian?
Not in years. She's how old?
Almost a year older than me, but we graduated the same year.
Why? You think she's Dad's love child?
Nope. I know she is. Hey, sit down. I didn't think we would be in such a shock. Damn, I'm sorry, sis. I'll clean this mess up.
Dad is her father? Seriously? And what do you mean, you know? Who told you?
Mom. Mom told me.
Why would she tell you something like that? She never mentioned it to me.
I needed to know.
What's that supposed to mean?
Vivian was at Beaumont, and I was at St. Ed's. We started dating. She wasn't allowed to date, really. You know how it is with those Catholic schoolgirls back then. Her mom was standoffish with Vivian. Didn't like her for some reason. Of course, I didn't know Dad and her mom had a thing going on. Anyway, senior year, Mom's asking me about prom, and I come clean and tell her that I'm dating Viv. I want to take her to the prom, and we're in love. We want to get married after we graduate, yada, yada, yada. And Mom goes off. And I think it's just because she doesn't like Vivian. She tells me that it's not. So I say, what is it then? And that's when she drops the bomb. Vivian is Dad's daughter. It was awkward.
Awkward hell. It was incest.
Chris abruptly gets up. He leaves the stage and comes back with a broom and dustpan. He starts sweeping up the glass from the broken mug.
Hey, what's wrong?
Nothing.
Don't BS me, Chris. Is it what I said about incest? Did you two?
We were kids. We thought we were in love. And I had to break it off and not tell her why. I think about it and it still makes me sad. Vivian went away to college. Life just didn't turn out the way I thought it would.
Do you ever see Vivian?
No. After college, she stayed in Boston. She went to grad school in Florida, lived there for years. She just moved back a few months ago. She was divorced, too. I heard she was back in town, but I haven't seen her. I'd like to, though.
Jesus, you're still pining for her. What's wrong with you? She's your sister.
Don't be ridiculous. I just like to see her, that's all. She was great, really. I know we were young, but I never felt that again with anyone. We were totally, it wasn't just first love, romantic stuff. We were so much alike.
Of course you were. You have the same goddamn dad.
I guess you're right. But how does that explain me and you? We're not alike at all.
This is no joke, Chris.
Look, this whole situation broke my heart. It broke Vivian's. 1 minute a guy's in love with you, and the next minute he dumps you with absolutely no explanation. What do you have to be worked up about? If anyone should be pissed off, it should be me.
I'm not worked up. And pissed off doesn't begin to describe it. I'm outraged. And Dad so innocently says, "Why don't you invite Mrs. Parr?" I should have known. I should have figured it out.
When's he coming home?
His appointment with the chiropractor was at 11. Then he'll drop by the restaurant for lunch. I'm not expecting him for another hour.
Good. I'll be gone by then. And you'll have time to pull yourself together. It's not like I told you he's an axe murderer or something. Shit. He knocked up a woman he's been in love with his entire life.
Just stop! I can't stand to hear any more love of his life bullshit when it comes to Mrs. Parr. He's a philanderer who made our mother's life hell and turned you into a pervert who's doing the nasty with his sister. A sister he is still in love with. I mean, there are people who love someone, really love someone who they have every right to love but can't be with them. And they think of others and how they might get hurt. And then they just make a sacrifice.
Okay, calm down. My suggestion, we all get together. Invite Mrs. Parr and Vivian over for dinner before the big party. You meet them, we all talk, get to know each other again, and let things evolve originally.
Organically.
Are you sure that's the word? It's original, like for real, you know? Originally.
Jesus. Well, we all know whose son you are.
Lights down. Act 1, Scene 3. The table has been extended. It's covered in a linen tablecloth, partially set. Charlotte is alone in the kitchen, wearing an apron and talking on her cell phone as she continues to set the table.
I'm a wreck. I keep thinking I've forgotten something. Well, no one's here yet. I think I'm ready, though. No, he is bringing Mrs. Parr. I know, but what am I going to do? Just take the keys? As long as Chris is still on the force, I don't have to worry. No, he doesn't drive fast enough to kill anyone. Saturday? Watch Netflix and chill? Hey, I've got to go. I love you too.
That's what you wanted?
You're joking, right?
You said Italian bread with the white bag and ice cream. What's this?
It's Pepper's Farm.
And it says Italian. And see this? That's white.
The Italian bread that's in the bakery section that's in the white bag. And I told you we're having cherry pie. Nobody puts chocolate ice cream on cherry pie.
I went to the bread section and I saw Italian in a white bag. I didn't know they had a bakery and a grocery store. And it's sliced already.
Good Lord, you have got to be kidding me.
I'll run back.
No way. I'll go myself.
I'm parked behind you.
Well, give me your keys. I should make it back before they get here.
What if they get here first?
Dad will be with them, so it's not like you'll be alone.
Charlotte grabs her handbag from a hook on the door and scurries out. Chris goes to the freezer and puts the ice cream in, and he looks at the bread.
You are obviously not the best thing since sliced bread.
Hello? Anybody home?
Come on in. Vivian.
Gosh, Chris, it's been a long time.
Hey, have a seat. I'll take that.
I didn't want to come empty-handed. I hope Charlotte likes orchids.
I'm sure she'll love it. Can I get you something? A beer? Wine?
Where is everyone?
But Charlotte will be back in a minute. I screwed up. Pepperidge Farm, not Italian enough. Who knew? People don't eat chocolate ice cream on cherry pie. Did you know that?
Well, it sounds good to me. Chocolate, cherries, right?
Exactly. You were always the beautiful one. Brainy. I mean the brainy one, not the beautiful one. I mean, not that you're not beautiful.
I've missed you, Chris. You haven't changed.
I'm old.
But you know what they say. 50 is the new 30.
But not the new 18.
No, not 18 again.
Vivian, I'd like to explain, honestly.
32 years later, that's just...
Chris moves close to her. They stare at each other for a few moments, and Vivian pulls away.
I was not going to say kid.
What a lovely neighborhood you live in, Auntie. It's really been watermelon in lovely neighborhood.
So nice to-
Carrots. Vivian, you beat us here.
My timing is always off.
Nonsense. I should have been home. Did Chris offer you something to drink?
He certainly did. He's been more than hospitable.
Of course.
I was getting her something, but we got distracted. Talking about orchids. See, Vivian brought you one.
Oh, it's lovely. Thank you. Orchids are my favorite.
I'll get drinks for everyone. Dad, beer, right? Mrs. Parr, Vivian?
It's Italian night. I made lasagna, and there's a nice Chianti if anyone's interested.
Vivian lived in Italy for a few years.
You did? Do you speak Italian?
It would have been hard to live there for 2 years and not speak the language, I think.
Well, Vivian speaks 4 languages. It's because of the Latin she studied for her degree, I think. She speaks French, Italian, Spanish, and English, of course.
The only thing I know in Italian is amore.
That's a good word to know.
I know it in a lot of languages, actually.
I bet you do.
Chianti, anyone?
Lights down. Act 1, Scene 4. Charlotte, Chris, Vivian, Marie, and Brady are sitting around the table. Dinner is over. Silverware is on the plates, napkins bunched to the side. The salad bowl is mostly empty. The bread has one small end left, and there are 2 empty wine bottles.
Dad, why don't you show Vivian and Mrs. Parr to the garden before it gets too late? Then we can all have drinks on the patio.
Let me help you clean up, Charlotte.
Thanks, Vivian, but I've got it. Chris can help me. You and your mom are guests. See the garden. We'll bring out dessert. Everyone wants cherry pie? Does anyone want coffee? An after-dinner drink?
Coffee for me, and I would love to see the garden.
Dad's a great gardener.
Oh, come on, Charlotte. Don't exaggerate.
Oh, don't you be so modest. He's a master gardener. You're going to be dazzled, I assure you. He has a greenhouse back there, a vegetable garden, an herb garden, and you wouldn't believe the roses.
Well, Vivian is a gardener, too. She worked for the extension office in Florida. Didn't you, Vivian?
Yes, Mother.
Hey, don't say it like that. I wish these 2 were interested in plants and flowers. Charlotte has a bit of a green thumb, but Chris, he's a disaster.
I kill everything. Charlotte brought me a cactus once, supposed to be foolproof.
Well, Viv is an expert in orchids.
Mother, please.
Well, this one's beautiful. What is it called?
An oncidium. So, it's not just herbs, vegetables, and roses.
You 2 have a lot to talk about. So go on out, and we'll be there in a few minutes with the coffee and dessert.
Charlotte starts to make coffee. After she hits the button to start brewing, she turns.
Are you out of your goddamn mind? What in the hell are you thinking?
What?
Come on! You 2 are doing a mating dance right in front of us. Are you nuts?
Vivian comes in the door stage left. Chris and Charlotte don't see her.
What can I say? She's still gorgeous. She turns me on.
Yuck. You're sick. Do you think that if she knew, she'd be throwing herself at you?
She's not throwing herself at me. It's banter.
It's foreplay.
Oh, you are blowing this way out of proportion.
And what's wrong with her anyway? Is she blind? Doesn't she realize she looks like him, talks like him? She even laughs like him. It's like he cloned her. And where the hell does she think she inherited that Luther Burbank gene from?
Luther who?
Luther Burbank. A famous botanist.
Lights down. Act 1, Scene 5. Chris, Charlotte, and Brady are sitting around the table.
Well, that didn't go so well.
No, it didn't.
Hey, don't blame me. I'm not the one who fathered a child and then hid it from her for 50 years.
It wasn't my idea not to tell her.
But it was your responsibility.
Her mother asked me not to.
That was fine when both of your spouses were alive, but now they're dead, and she was grown up. Look at the damage that this secret has done.
Damage? What damage?
She's hurt. She feels betrayed. Her sense of identity has been disrupted. You don't know what choices she made in her life because she didn't know. Or the choices other people who knew the truth made for her.
She just needs some time to deal with it.
I'll smooth it over. I'll call them right now. I'll make it right.
You better, 'cause I don't want any drama at the party next month.
I told you not to have that damn party in the first place.
Maybe you should wait, Dad. I mean, give her a chance to process it.
She was kind of in shock, Dad. Maybe you should give them some time.
Time? Too much time has passed as it is.
Brady dials the phone.
Hello, Marie. It's Brady. I'd like to have this talk face to face, but I want to get it over with and set the record straight right now. Can Vivian get on the extension? Sure. I'll wait. Vivian, I know this is a shock to you. Honestly, I thought we should have told you a long time ago, just after your dad. I mean, you know, your dad, Howard, died. But you had moved away and it just didn't seem like a good time. And I tell you, honey, I'm sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry about not telling you. I'm not sorry about you being born. I could never be sorry about that. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the woman you've grown up to be. You are so like me in so many ways. And don't be angry with your mom, okay? It's not her fault for not telling you. She wanted to, but what was the point? That's what we were thinking. What would be accomplished? Who would it hurt if you never knew? I can see now we were wrong about that, and I hope you can forgive me. I want us three to grab what happiness we can with what is left in our lives together. Can you do that? Can we, Vivian? Yeah, I know. There was the initial shock, but you can get over that, can't you? Can you learn to love me? I mean, of course, not like you loved Howard, your dad, but in a different way. Cross-pollination. That's a good one, Vivian. You're right. Both of us being into plants. You are so right. I was in a garden where I didn't belong, and you, my dear, are a new variety.
And the lights fade out. Act 1, Scene 6. Chris and Vivian enter from the upstage garden doors carrying empty chafing dishes. They accidentally / on purpose bump butts as they come through the door. They put the dishes down and then do a little dance for who goes back out the door. They come in again with more party remnants, this time bumping into each other on purpose. They put the dishes down and Vivian lifts her hair from the back of her neck and fans herself. Chris picks up a dish towel and walks towards her as if he's going to kiss her, and then instead reaches around her and wipes the sweat off of the back of her neck.
Hot?
A little warm. You?
I'm always hot.
Don't I know it?
Not what I meant.
Really? That's what I remember.
Vivian!
Guess we should get the rest. Coming, Mother!
The two walk out of the upstage doors. Brady enters the stage, goes to the upstage right hallway. Charlotte, Vivian, and Chris bring in more remnants from the party and put them on the counters. Brady enters and puts down a suitcase.
Can't believe all these people showed up. Charlotte, you know, I wasn't crazy about this idea, but it turned out great.
Oh, it certainly did. Brady, is there something else you wanted to say?
Well, yes, there is.
I can't believe you're at a loss for words. And what's this suitcase about?
Spit it out, Dad. What's going on?
Brady stands behind Marie. He puts his hand on her shoulder and lays her hand on his.
Marie and I are getting married.
What?
Mother, you can't be serious.
Why wouldn't I? Your father and I have been in love for years.
My bio father? The father that didn't even acknowledge me?
Oh, I thought we weren't going to discuss that anymore. Let bygones be bygones.
I have what? Maybe 10 good years if I'm lucky. People should be with people they love.
Nice. So because of the person you loved, I can't be with the person I love.
Are you talking about you and Vivian? How do I stop you from being with Vivian?
Are you serious?
Completely. I thought you said your mother told you about me and Marie and Vivian.
She did. That's why Vivian and I broke up. And it's why we aren't together now.
She didn't tell you the whole story?
What whole story? What more could there be? They are brother and sister. End of story.
But they're not.
Not what?
They're not brother and sister.
Well, not full siblings, but half siblings.
Not exactly.
Not exactly what?
Not at all.
Not at all. What does that mean?
They're not brother and sister. They're not half brother and sister. They're not related at all.
We're not?
Brady, you know Vivian is your daughter.
It's pretty clear she's your daughter. Pull out a photo of Grandma. She's the spitting image of her. And the plant thing, she's got that in spades.
Even I didn't inherit that. As much as you tried to get me to do it, as much as I liked it, I still kill everything. And you look more like him than I do.
Chris starts laughing, but the others aren't. They look serious as the realization hits them. The women look at Brady, then back at Chris, whose laugh begins to fade and becomes uncomfortable.
Dad, what are you trying to say?
Son, let me explain.
Explain. What kind of explanation could there be?
It's easy to make up a story about her who's dead and unable to defend herself.
They're both dead.
Both?
I suspected it. But seeing Chris as a grown man, I knew it. He's the spitting image of Howard. He looks like him. He walks like him, talks like him. All those years taking such an interest in Chris. Well, I really should have known. How could I not have known?
Mr. Parr helped me build my derby car. I always wondered why he took an interest in that. And then he was my troop leader in Scouts. And then the coach on my baseball team. Was that all because of...
Howard couldn't stay away from you, but we had an agreement. He wouldn't tell you. I loved you, son, but so did he, and so did your mother.
But how? Were you swingers?
Of course we weren't swingers. That didn't come into fashion until after you were born anyway. I mean, maybe in Hollywood. What was that movie? Daggone it, Bob and Carol and Ted and Angie.
Alice. It's Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. Could you please keep on the subject?
Chris brought up swinging, not me.
Could you two please stop and let him explain?
Thanks, Viv. I was getting to it. I know you two don't like to hear anything bad about your mom, and honestly, I can't blame her. Marie and I were together, and your mother knew it. So she had an affair with Howard. It was just to get back at us. What do you call it? There's a name for it. I can't remember what it is. Oh, yeah. Reverse sex.
Revenge sex.
Oh, I thought it might be reverse. You know, like the wife and the husband are reversed. Don't you think that makes more sense?
Good Lord.
Okay. Revenge, reverse, whatever. You know what I mean. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So your mother gets back at me and Marie by doing it up with Howard. And then Bam, she gets pregnant. We tried for years, her and I, and nothing. And then when you were born, Chris, I took one look at you and I couldn't be mad. I loved you from the moment I saw you. And no offense to you two girls, but I always wanted a boy. Thought he might take over the nursery business, but you didn't. Weren't interested in the sciences at all sports all the time.
Howard was a good athlete, Chris. That's where you got it from.
I have really had enough. I can't take anymore. You hid this from Chris, and he gives up the love of his life because you aren't honest with him. People should be with the people they love. That's mighty nice, but you are the only person that this has applied to.
Dad didn't hide it. It was Mom that hid it. She could have told me when I told her about Vivian, and she didn't say a word.
She did that for me, Chris. I begged her to never tell you. You did that for me.
How could you, Dad? Why would you hide that from him? Why would Mom?
Your mother and I had our troubles.
That's an understatement.
Well, I know you don't believe it, but she loved me. And I loved her. And I loved Marie, who didn't know a damn thing about it. And more than that, we loved you, Charlotte, and we loved Chris. And we both felt that a secret like this would be too much for you two to take. Before she died, she begged me to come clean with you two. But so much time had passed. I just didn't know how to tell you then, and it served no purpose. We've all wasted a lot of time with lies and secrets, and we can't go another minute. It stops today. Now, life's too short. Vivian and Chris, you two deserve to be together. You're not related. You're not brother and sister. You're not 18 anymore, but it's pretty clear that you're still in love. Grab it. Take it. And Charlotte, I'm moving in with Marie. You spent the last 10 years taking care of me. Care I didn't really need. And the whole time trying to keep your thing and Robin's a secret.
You knew?
You think you could fool your old man? I know women are different. Their friendships are different. But you and Robin were so close, trips together, always over her house, never at ours. And then that Netflix and chill thing you two were always doing. Why not just say you're coming over to watch a movie? So I asked that kid who cuts the grass what that meant.
No, you didn't.
Sure I did. And he keeps me up with the 21st century. He's helping me with the computer and the cell phone. Tried to get me on Instagram.
Instagram.
Whatever it's called. Doesn't matter. It's not working out for me. Just not seeing the value. Anyway, he told me watch Netflix and chill is the code the kids use for, what did he call it? Hooking up. That means having sex, you know. So that's how I found out about you and Robin. I just don't understand why you would try to hide it from me.
I thought you'd be upset. I didn't want to hurt you. I thought you'd be ashamed.
Ashamed? Because you're a gay? I'm trying to get with the 21st century thing. Charlotte, I could never be ashamed of you. And you were worrying about hurting me? You hurt me by thinking you had to give up your life and take care of me. I'm perfectly capable of doing things on my own. It hurts me that you're not with the person you love because of me. It hurts that all three of you weren't with who you love, all because of me. I'm just hoping you can forgive me.
Charlotte and Chris get up and walk around the table and put their arms around Brady. Vivian and Marie reach out and each hold one of his hands. And the group is silent for a moment. Brady lets go of Marie and Vivian's hands and looks at his wristwatch.
Sweetheart, we got a plane to catch.
Viv and I will drive you to the airport.
How long will you be gone?
A few weeks, maybe a little longer. We're going to travel a bit. Never saw the Grand Canyon. Want to go to Yosemite? Maybe San Francisco.
What about the garden? And the orchids.
You'll take care of them for me, won't you?
Chris puts his arm around Vivian and kisses her on the lips.
She sure will.
Let's get this show on the road. Time's a wasting.
Charlotte stands at the door and waves. She remains standing for a time, walks to the counter, and picks up the phone.
Hey. Yeah, it was great. Everyone's gone. Well, I'm gonna clean up first. No, I got it. Sure, in about an hour. No, not to Netflix and chill. I'm coming over to stay. I'll explain later. But you know, people should be with the people they love.
Lights out.